In the heart of London, down a narrow street called Willow Lane, there stood an old hotel named the Alderwick. It wasn't glamorous, but it had a reputation for being quiet, clean, and affordable. Business travelers liked it. Tourists found it charming. Yet behind its polite curtains, the Alderwick carried a strange legend: Room 6B. Eleanor, a young journalist, checked in one rainy evening. She had been assigned to write a piece about forgotten London landmarks, but she was more intrigued by the hushed whispers at the front desk. The receptionist, a pale man with a fixed smile, gave her a brass key and said softly, "6B. Then, almost under his breath, "If you see anything unusual, don't look twice." Eleanor raised an eyebrow. What does that mean? But the man simply tapped the bell on the counter as though the conversation was finished. Room 6B looked ordinary enough. A narrow bed, a wardrobe, and a lamp that flickered faintly. The wallpaper, however, caught her attention. Faded roses, curling away from the wall in places, looked as if they had been burned. She unpacked her notebook and began to write down first impressions. At precisely midnight, a draft swept across the room. The lamp died. From the corner of her eye, Eleanor thought she saw the wallpaper shift, like the roses were breathing. She turned quickly. Nothing. Just paper, peeling at the edges. She laughed at herself, switched on her phone light, and went back to writing. But then came the sound. Footsteps. Slow, heavy, pacing right above her. She frowned. There was no floor above 6B. The receptionist had told her this was the top of the building. She tiptoed into the corridor, listening. Silence. When she returned, her suitcase had moved, dragged across the carpet by nearly a foot. Her chest tightened. "All right," she whispered. "If this is a prank, it's very good." The footsteps resumed. This time, they circled the room. She gripped her phone light and followed the sound, pressing her ear to the wallpaper. She felt a vibration, faint but steady, as if someone on the other side was breathing. Then, knock. 3 sharp raps, inches from her face. Eleanor stumbled back. The wardrobe door creaked open, though she hadn't touched it. Inside hung nothing but a long black coat, far too old to belong to any modern guest. She reached toward it, her hand trembling. When her fingers brushed the fabric, the entire room seemed to spin. The walls rippled like water. Her reflection in the wardrobe mirror wasn't her own. It was a man's face, hollow-eyed, with a scar running down his cheek. "Get out," the reflection mouthed. Eleanor screamed and fled into the hall. She ran down the stairs, burst into the lobby, and demanded answers. The receptionist didn't look surprised. Instead, he sighed. "You saw him," he said. "Most do not last until the mirror." "Who was he?" Eleanor asked, shaking. The receptionist leaned forward. "A guest, long ago, a man accused of murder. They locked him in 6B until the police arrived. But when they returned, the room was empty. No body, no escape. Just his coat. He was never seen again." Eleanor's heart pounded. "So he vanished?" The man nodded. "But sometimes the room remembers him." Eleanor left the Alderwick that night, her story half written, but her fear fully alive. She never returned to Willow Lane. Yet months later, when she flipped through her notebook, she noticed something chilling. On the page where she had first described the wallpaper in handwriting that wasn't hers were 3 words. "Still in here."